Welcome back to BST, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me on yet another episode. We have a lot to talk about today. We had the NBA draft go down. We had the NHL draft go down. So many things come along with those two events. So let's just jump right in. I want to start in the NBA because obviously, with the draft lottery, a lot of controversy, and that leads right into here. From the outside looking in about a month ago, I would have told you there were four guys that would go in the top four. That was Cooper Flagg, Dylan Harper, Edgecombe, and Ace Bailey. And things changed a little bit. A lot of it surrounds Ace Bailey, of course, as a Jazz fan. Love that we got him. Really special talent. But let's just start from the top. Cooper Flagg, first pick. He's been the first pick for probably a year by now. So this is no shock, really. But I think the interesting thing about this is, obviously, in the video about the draft lottery, I talked about this. I said, this is 100% rigged. Like, there is no way this is not rigged. It seems so likely that the NBA went to the Mavericks and said, if you send Luka to LA, because that'll boost our ratings, send one of the best players in basketball to one of the biggest markets in basketball, that'll boost the ratings, help out the league. We'll give you the first pick. Like I can almost guarantee that conversation happened. So here they are. They get the first pick and they get Cooper Flagg. But what I do not think is fair is for Nico Harrison, or what is that his name? Nico? I know him by his first name, Nico. I think it's Nico Harrison. But Nico, their GM. It is completely unfair to say that this was part of the plan. Like, that this was, I think he said that in his press conference. Like, I think some fans will kind of see the vision now. Dude, you were not supposed to have this pick. So don't be taking credit for something that's not yours. I get it. You won the lottery. You got lucky. That's it. You got lucky and stumbled in to a possible generational player. I don't know if he's going to be generational, but that is how he is being talked. So I think it is completely ridiculous to say that this was all part of the plan. Unless that hints at some further conspiracy that he maybe just leaked it a little bit, that it was all part of the plan. The internal plan that nobody knows about for sure, but the Mavericks did and the NBA does. That could be a possibility. But I think, I don't want to hear nothing from that guy taking a victory lap, because he got incredibly lucky with this. This saved his job, most likely, unless the organization just loves dysfunction, because now they have a future in another white boy in Cooper Flagg instead of Luka. But like, this was never part of the plan. I guarantee you got bribed by the league to trade Luka to get this. So, from that point of view, it was. But it's just like, don't take credit for this. And there was that in the interview with Cooper Flagg. He's at the podium and they talk about Luka or something, and he gives like the craziest side eye and the smirk to Nico, and it's like, dude, like, are we just like they're showing it right to our faces, and there's nothing we can do about it. This has to be rigged. Like, there's just no way. It's too convenient. It makes too much sense. But regardless, the Mavs get Cooper Flagg. Honestly, they're going to be a crazy good defensive team next year. Going to be kind of crazy. I don't know if they, turn this whole situation around like this year with AD and Kyrie. Tough to say, but they definitely could. But it's just going to be hard. It's going to be hard to do that. They definitely still got worse by trading Luka. That package is still insane to me. But they get Cooper Flagg. At 2, Dylan Harper to the Spurs. Spurs are building a damn good core now. It is really, really good. You got, of course, you got Wemby, you got Harper now, you got Castle, Blanken, De'Aaron Fox. Um, could be a possible trade for Giannis there. That'd be phenomenal. Maybe the best defensive front court of all time, with Giannis and Wemby if that happens. But yeah, huge, huge. I think they moved up too. I can't remember exactly where they were. Definitely not number. Definitely not in the top five. So they moved up. Are able to get the best guard in this draft. So the Sixers, VJ Edgecombe. I mean, they kind of lucked out this season. A lot of their stars got injured. Embiid, Paul George, obviously, although Paul George is kind of past his prime. Obviously, is not going to be part of the future. But then I'm blanking on that guy they drafted last year. I can't remember his name, but he's another guard they drafted last year. He was doing really good before he got injured. I'm totally blanking on his name, but you guys will know who I'm talking about. So they add another big piece. I'm at 4. This is where I thought Ace Bailey was going to go, but they go Con Knipple from Duke. The Hornets do. So great 3-point shooter. So makes sense, but man, I would not have passed on Ace Bailey. But this is where it gets interesting because apparently Ace Bailey told, I think it was the Sixers and the Hornets maybe, not to draft him because he wouldn't show up. And as soon as I kind of heard that as a Jazz fan, I was kind of like, are you serious? Like, we got this guy who's not going to play in Utah and is going to leave after his rookie deal. And then yesterday, I don't know if this was kind of just like some rumor mill swirling a little bit, but like all of a sudden it's like, oh, Ace Bailey isn't going to come to Utah. He's not going to report. He didn't go on the same plane as Walter Clayton Jr. Oh no, Ace Bailey isn't going to come. But he came today. So Ace Bailey at 5 to the Jazz. I like the pick. At this point in the draft, he was the most talented player left, and you drop from 1 to 5 and you still get, like I said, there was those top 4 players in my book. Those were the top 4 players. You get one of those top 4 players after falling 4 spots because of the stupid draft lottery. I'll take that. He's talented. He was like 6'10 going into the draft combine, fell down to 6'8. I don't know who's measuring. It just makes you look bad. I don't know why they always do that. So he's not really 6'10. He's more 6'8, which is still good. Can do a lot of things, makes difficult shots. I love the pick. This guy could genuinely be the franchise piece that the Jazz have been looking for since Donovan Mitchell left. Please, we need something to look forward to. Something to make Jazz fans tune into the games. They're so unwatchable at this point. Please, Ace Bailey, be the savior. That's why I don't get it. Come play in Utah. Everybody will love you. I don't think people understand how good Utah Jazz fans are. They are some of the best. And when the team is humming, they are especially loud. They get behind the team. They show up. We just got to get there. Yeah, so that was the top 5. After that, kind of drops off. But there were some interesting stories. Obviously, the Brooklyn Nets had 5 first-round picks this year, which has got to be like unprecedented. Maybe not, but like I can't remember the last time I seen a team in any sport have 5 first-round picks in 1 year. They drafted 8 Igor Demin from BYU. I believe he's a Russian that went to BYU. And then who else did they draft? Yeah, so they got Igor Demin, and then they got Nolan Traore. I probably butchered that. He's from France. I'm not exactly sure. And then you got Ben Serif and Danny Wolf. I think I'm missing one here, but I'm honestly the other thing. Let me touch on this. The other thing that sucked about this was they could not. I don't understand. Like in the NFL, a trade happens. They get the hat switched out, and the team that traded for that pick announces that pick. But in the NBA, for some reason, they trade for the pick. Like even on here just now, the Rockets traded their first this year in the Kevin Durant package. But like, why is the Rockets logo still by Kamen Malawak, who the Suns drafted? That makes no sense to me. The Suns should have said, we draft this guy, not the Rockets draft this guy, and then the proposed trade thing. And then they get the hat wrong. I'm like, this makes no sense. Literally, they have, I saw somebody say this. They have like the biggest photo ever of them shaking the hand with the commissioner of the league. They're gonna have the wrong hat, and I get it if they're traded afterwards, like Doncic and Trae Young were traded, but like this was perfectly preventable. Like, why are we doing this? It makes no sense to me. Maybe there's an explanation that somebody knows, but it makes no sense to me. So yeah, I just had to get that off my chest. So yeah, I mean, who is that? Who is that guy? Yang Hansen. Gotta shout him out. Center from China. People are calling him the Chinese Jokic. I'm all for it. Please. That'd be so cool. I've watched some of his highlights. I'm like, man, he kind of looks a lot like Jokic. Just a center who the offense revolves around and he can play make. That'd be awesome. And I saw this quote, and he said once he's done playing, he wants to help develop basketball in China and make it easier for Chinese prospects and stuff to come and play basketball in North America. Awesome stuff right there. Or maybe that was somebody else. I think I'm getting those totally mixed up, and I think that's like a different guy in hockey, which is kind of insane to get those mixed up. But yeah, I think that's like a completely different guy in hockey that I just mix those guys up with. I think it's a different guy who's drafted by the Sharks. Yeah, he was drafted by, I can't remember who it was. Let me see if I can find who was drafted by the Sharks in hold on, let me see if I can find that here. I cannot believe I just mixed those two up like that. That's insane. Of course. Oh, wait, no. Yeah, so it's not Yang Hansen was drafted by the Trailblazers, but Simon Wang was drafted by the Sharks. And he's from China. So, yeah, he's the one who wants to build hockey in China. So, sorry for the mix-up there. Don't know how I mixed those up. But I did see that, so that was pretty cool. That's a natural segue into the NHL draft, I think. There's not really that much more that I'd like to talk about with the NBA. I don't know much about this draft besides the top 5. So, yeah, let's talk about the NHL. More of my bread and butter this year in terms of what I thought was going to happen. So, of course, at number 1, Matthew Schaefer. Makes a ton of sense. I don't think anybody is really shocked by this. It's been he was the number 1 prospect for most of the year anyway, but especially when the Islanders won that pick, they had their heart set on Matthew Schaefer. But the interesting storyline in this draft was their pursuit for Shagans, as they call it, Schaefer and Hagans. So obviously you can't not pass up on Schaefer. He's your franchise defenseman now. But a trade that they made before the first round looked to set up a possible Hagans pick at the bottom half of the top 10. Did not go to plan how it was probably planned out by their front office and Matthew Darsh, their GM. But the full trade, the Noah Dobson trade. So Noah Dobson, former right defenseman for the Islanders, was traded to Montreal for Emil Heineman, prospect. Probably not going to amount to that much. He's been traded a few times, I believe, and he's an RFA during this offseason. For the 16th pick in the draft and the 17th pick in the draft that Montreal owned. So Dobson gets an 8 by $9.5 million extension. So now they got Lane Hudson and Noah Dobson to make maybe the most unreliably or defensively unreliable top pairing ever. I doubt they pair them together because I don't think you can actually do that. Like, these guys are some of the best offensive defensemen in the league, but I would not trust their defense, especially on the same line like that. So that should be interesting to see how he slots in there. But I think this is a good trade for Montreal to starting on their side of things. Like, Heineman isn't that big of a prospect for him, and you get rid of the 16th and the 17th. Those turned into decent picks for the Islanders, but let's just talk about their objective here. Their objective was not to pick with the 16th or 17th pick. They were definitely probably looking to trade up with Philly or Nashville, probably. I don't think Utah was really interested in trading back for 2 picks like that. James Higgins does eventually go to Boston at 7. So, definitely didn't go according to plan for the Islanders, but they ended up having a pretty good draft. With the 16th and 17th pick, they drafted Victor Eklund at 16, right winger. I like this pick a lot. Brother of William Eklund. And then at 17, they draft Keyshawn Aitchison, defenseman. So 2 good prospects, and they're heading in a direction where it's not going to. They're not going to try to win. They're going to try to tank, even maybe not just like straight tank, like be super bad, but just a new direction. So I like both those picks. Would have been awesome to see if they could got Higgins, the hometown kid. Not able to do it. But honestly, I think this trade was pretty even for both sides. Montreal strengthens their D core, gets a possible 70-point defenseman to pair with their already 70-point defenseman. So, like, that's pretty special right there to have 2 guys who can do that. So I like this trade decently for both teams. But so they go Schaefer at 1. San Jose picks Michael Misa. A lot of smoke and mirrors for Anton Frundell to San Jose, but they go Misa. Exceptional year for him. I think he had like 134 points in like 60 games. Insanity. Chicago goes Anton Frundell at number 3. And then you get to Utah, which a lot was said that Utah might try to trade out of this pick if the right package was there, but they stick and pick. They go Caleb Denoyer. I love this pick as a Utah fan. Go Mammoth. But the Utah needed that 2C of the future. Obviously, you hope Cooley can be that first line center, that big scoring guy, and then you get Denoyer, and he can definitely slot in as that more defensive minded center of the future. Kind of not exactly opposite of Logan Cooley, but just a guy who can maybe be more responsible on the defensive end and provide good balance there. But that brings us to the second trade I wanted to discuss, which is the J.J. Peterka trade between Utah and Buffalo. So let's talk about Utah. They get J.J. Peterka, left winger, had 68 points this past year, 27 goals. And in this deal, they agreed to an extension, 5 by $7.7 million. So pretty cost controlled. You would have liked maybe more term there than 5. But honestly, the way I look at this, they got a lot of wingers coming up. You got Daniel Boot this year. So, like, that's already one guy. You got Tija Ginla coming up. So, like, I don't mind the 5. Definitely would have liked to maybe carry him until he's 30. Maybe make it a 7 or an 8, really. But it is what it is. But now this is one of the big pieces they need this offseason. They needed this offseason. Now you get a good scoring threat on the wing that they really needed last year and going into this season. And now you look at the top six. You have Keller, Cooley, Gunther, Paterka, Hayton, and Schmaltz at this point. So that's not bad at all. Probably just in the good tier, not anything elite or anything. But Paterka's a guy, 22 or 23. You can build around him. Or not build around him, but he can be a piece in your core moving forward. And now if you look at the core and you have Keller, Cooley, Gunther, Paterka, or Ginla, Denoyer, Paterka, something like that. I really like it for Utah. And then on the other end, Buffalo receives Josh Doan, which it just hurts my soul. I think this right here, Josh Doan's signature, that right there, it sucks. It sucks to see him go. It really does. But they trade Josh Doan, right winger. One more year left on his deal. So after next year, he will be an RFA. And Michael Kesselring, right defenseman, also 1 year left on his deal at $1.4 million. So brutal to lose these two guys. They're pretty good friends, along with Cooley in Utah. I know a lot of Utah fans are pretty shocked by this. I think especially when it's a new team, you just kind of get attached to some of these first players, especially when they're good personalities, good people. It's what this is. But let's look at it from Buffalo's perspective. It's not a good track record of losing your players and them going on to be really good for other teams and win cups. It's happened with Eichel. It's happened with Reinhardt. It's happened with Montour. It's happened with there's got to be more at this. I'm probably blanking on a few. So I'm not going to say that's what's going to happen here, but there's definitely that idea whenever a Buffalo star gets traded. Paterka, arguable if he's a star or not. I think he's bordering. But they get Doan, who probably projects as a third liner at his peak, maybe a second liner, but definitely not a second liner on a Stanley Cup contender, probably. And Michael Kesselring, I will say this is a great fit for Buffalo. They get exactly what they need to pair with probably Owen Power. They've had way too many left defensemen with Dahlin, Power, and Byram. So now I assume they're still going to trade Byram. Nothing has come out of that yet. So I assume that's what's going to happen. So if you compare Kesselring with Power, I like that a lot. Power, more of an offensively focused defenseman. Then you got Kesselring, who's a big. Kesselring can play offense, but he's big. He's not afraid to use his body. Sorry about that. I really just I like this a lot in that perspective, but they gave a lot. There was a lot of other trades on the table for Paterka that they passed up, which kind of insane to me. First round picks were on the table with other teams. Marco Rossi was offered by Minnesota, and they passed up on that one. I would have done that. And that was just the base. Like, Minnesota was willing to offer picks and prospects after Marco Rossi. I get it. He's tiny. He's like 5'8", but like it's a 60-point center right there. And I don't know. I would have done it. I would have done it if I would have done that one if I was Buffalo. It just felt like this wasn't the best deal on the table, probably. So interesting to say the least. But obviously they're going to get grilled for this because they're Buffalo. But I think it's closer to an even trade than most people want to think. But I think Utah definitely wins it as of now just because they got the better player. or the best player in this trade. So, but I think Buffalo shouldn't be as killed as much as they're going to be. But yeah, let's get back to the draft here. Brady Martin goes at 5 to Nashville. Kind of a reach. I don't know. It's tough to stay with Brady Martin because I think everybody kind of gets caught up in like just this like you have to be skilled, you have to have this high upside. Brady Martin's just a very high floor player. And he's being compared to Sam Bennett. Just uses his body, just loves to lay people out. He was rumored to Utah for a while, but yeah, very very interesting player. But he goes to 5 to Nashville. And I mean, if you're Nashville, you're looking for players who can probably join the NHL team soon. You're not really in a position where you got a young team. You got Stamkos, Marchessault, Forsberg, Yossi, Saros. Like those are all guys who are getting up there in age. So you gotta find pieces now. So hopefully Martin can join them relatively soon, probably in a year or two, and try to help them salvage this pretty poor job by Barry Trotz. At 6, Porter Martone. This one kind of shocked me. I thought they were going to go center. He's a right winger. Now on that right wing side, you got Michkov and Martone. That's pretty talented stuff right there. But I thought they'd go center, get the center of the future to pair with Matvei Michkov. But they decide to go winger here. But if you look at this, I mean, the top in the top 15, there's like 5 non-centers. Like 10 out of the top 15 picks are centers. So kind of see where the league is going here. I thought James Higgins to Philly would have been a good pick. I get it. He's small. Didn't have the greatest year, but at Boston College. But I feel like it would have been just perfect. Get your playmaking center alongside of Matvei Michkov. They decide to go Martone. Obviously, like we said, Higgins goes 7 to Boston. And then from there on out, just, a lot of different picks. Nothing that I really care to talk about. Kind of similarly to the NBA draft, I thought there were a lot of kinks in this one that were kind of stupid. You had, obviously, this one was decentralized, which a lot of people did not like. I don't really care. I mean, the NFL one's not centralized. It's like you don't need all the front office personnel in the building to me. Like it doesn't really matter. But the whole thing with the interviews, or not the interviews, but like the interaction, like they put them like in this booth area with the front office that just drafted them. Very weird to me, very awkward. The technology wasn't great. And it just took forever. It felt like they did these interviews and then they'd start the clock for the next team. And it just took forever. I didn't watch the whole thing, but I think it took like 4 hours to do the first round, probably more. Just ridiculous. Like, let's get this thing going a little bit. Like, we don't need to spend all this time on each prospect and talking to their front office. So definitely could be cleaned up for next year. But yeah, overall, it's an interesting draft. Definitely a draft people have said is not very strong, but I think there will definitely be diamonds in the rough that will appear. Lastly, in the NHL, Marner to Vegas, possibly. Go Golden Knights. I know everybody hates the Golden Knights, but a possible sign and trade is in the works between Vegas and Marner and the Maple Leafs. For the Maple Leafs, I think if they can even, I heard the piece in this would be Nicholas Waugh going back to Toronto. Honestly, if you're the Maple Leafs, you can get Waugh, who's on a good deal at $3 million for the next 2 years. I'm doing it. Like, if you can get anything out of Marner, that's pretty good. So I think they should definitely do that. Yeah, for Vegas's side of things, you clear up some space by trading Law. He's not necessarily a player that you need. Um, he's a luxury, but he's not a player of need. And then you get Marner, who is a great scoring winger, had 100 points last year. And if Vegas gets Marner, he will show up in the playoffs, no doubt, no doubt. Um, so I think this would be a good trade for both teams. It gives Vegas time and full control over Marner to sign there, and it's sounding like the deal is going to be around $4 by $12 million. So I think that's fair. I think he could get closer to 14 or 15 if he went to Chicago or Columbus, any of those kind of worse teams that have a ton of cap space. But I think he wants to go to a contender. No state income tax. It makes a lot of sense. Um, so yeah, that's the two drafts that have been happening. Yeah, just fun stuff. I love drafts. They're just like so interesting to me. All the work that goes in to scout these players. I mean, just the process. It's crazy. But yeah, let me know down in the comments who your team drafted and what you think of it, whether the NBA or the NHL, who reached in either sport, what you think of some of these trades in the NHL, and the rumors and stuff like that. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment, check out TikTok, all those things. It's greatly appreciated. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.